Her wartime service record was featured in the Saturday Evening Post, and in 1997, Life magazine recognized her as one of America's 100 all-time greatest heroes. One of the most decorated Marines of all time. These are the decorations of Staff Sergeant Reckless. She earned every single one of them. 2 Purple Hearts, the Marine Corps Good Conduct Medal, the Presidential Unit Citation with Bronze Star, the National Defense Service Medal, the Korean Service Medal, the United Nations Korea Medal, the Navy Unit Commendation, the Republic of Korea Presidential Unit Citation, the French Fourragère, an honor earned by the 5th Marines in World War I, and in 2016, the Dickin Medal, the animal equivalent of the Victoria Cross, the highest honor Great Britain gives for gallantry in war. Oh, and Staff Sergeant Reckless was a horse. You heard that right. The year is 1952. A chestnut mare from a racetrack in Seoul, South Korea, bought for $250, trained as a pack animal, and then sent into one of the most brutal battles of the entire Korean War. And what she did there, what she chose to do again and again, under live fire, wounded, alone, is one of the most heroic, extraordinary things any living creature has ever done. This is her story. Her given name was Achim Hai. In Korean, that means flame of the morning, and it suited her perfectly. A chestnut mare with a white blaze down her face, 3 white stockings, and bloodlines that traced back to the Mongolian line of purebred horses. Hardy, sure-footed, built for rough terrain and cold winters. She was also fast. Fast enough that a young stable boy named Kim Hook Moon spent years saving every coin he had just to own her. He believed in her the way you only believe in something when you've worked for it with your own hands. He finally bought her, and he had plans. Then, the Korean War took everything. Kim's sister stepped on a landmine. She survived, but she lost her leg. The family needed money for a prosthetic, and they needed it fast. Kim took Morning Flame to the Seoul racetrack, and he sold her to save his sister. The buyer was a United States Marine Corps lieutenant named Eric Pedersen. He paid $250. He had no idea what he was buying. Now, it just so happens that Pedersen had a problem on the battlefield that kept him up at night. His unit operated a 75mm large rifle, 6 feet long. Each shell weighed 24 pounds. And Korea's terrain, 45-degree inclines, frozen mud, mountain trails no vehicle could touch, made moving that ammunition almost impossible. 3 or 4 Marines were needed every single time. 3 or 4 Marines who couldn't be doing anything else. In a war where every person mattered, that was a problem. Well, it just so happens that a horse could go where the vehicles could not. Morning Flame was renamed Reckless, lovingly named after that big rifle. And to get her up to speed on what her duties would be, a keen gunnery sergeant named Joseph Latham began training their new horse in what the Marines were already calling hoof camp. What happened next was beyond what anyone had expected, beyond comprehension, truth be told, and you might have a hard time believing it too. But what comes next has been documented for decades, and every word of it is true. Saddle up! Reckless didn't just learn to carry weight. She learned the route she would need to carry those shells. Every turn, every landmark, every obstacle on that mountain. She learned to step over communication wires the first time she saw them. She learned to duck her head under low-hanging barriers. And when she heard the word incoming, she learned to drop to her knees and press herself low to the ground. She understood, somehow, that all of it was important. She would watch the Marines and remember everything she saw. Truth be told, even the Marines in the beginning had a hard time believing how quickly she had adapted. Now here's what makes this even more remarkable. Horses are prey animals. Their brains are hardwired at the deepest neurological level to detect threat and run. Unfamiliar places scare them. Unfamiliar people scare them. Flight is their core response, and it kicks in before their conscious brain even knows what it's reacting to. A horse's biggest triggers? Loud, sudden sounds, explosions, the crack of an artillery shell close enough to feel in your chest. So our new Marine was technically in a place designed to give her a horse heart attack. What could possibly go wrong? Gunnery Sergeant Latham spent weeks training, retraining, conditioning and reconditioning, basically rewiring that response in her. Starting with small arms fire at a distance, then closer, and closer, and closer still, then full artillery. Each session calm, each session paired with a reward. Researchers call this counter-conditioning. The fear circuit, built by millions of years of evolution, can be restructured. It works in dogs. It works in trauma therapy for humans. Latham did it with a racehorse on a Korean mountainside. And then the Marines took it one step further. They adopted her, made her one of their own. She wandered freely through camp. She ate scrambled eggs at the breakfast mess, drank Coca-Cola, once famously consumed an entire large pot's worth of peanuts before anyone could stop her. Those men were her herd. And later research in equine behavior confirmed that horses tolerate significantly higher levels of stress when they are with a trusted social group. Their fear threshold rises. Their cortisol drops. She needed them, and they needed her too. Her fear tolerance was about to be tested, and what she was about to walk into would test every single thing she had learned. March 26, 1953. 4 months before the armistice that would end the Korean War, the Chinese People's Volunteer Army launched a massive assault on a cluster of exposed hilltop positions held by the 1st Marine Division. The Marines dubbed them the Nevada Cities: Outpost Vegas, Outpost Reno, Outpost Carson. Outpost Vegas was the most exposed. One military report described the incoming fire as sounding like 20 tornadoes tearing at a countryside. You know how loud one tornado can be, but 20 must have been unbearable for a human, never mind our horse. Artillery radar screens were useless. Shells incoming and outgoing were colliding in mid-air. The noise was beyond comprehension. Like I said, what could possibly go wrong? The mountain, minute by minute, was being unmade. The orders from command were simple and brutal. Hold the line. The ammunition supply point sat at the base of the hill, hundreds of meters away. The trail between them climbed a 45-degree vertical incline. It crossed open rice paddies. It offered no cover, no shelter, no protection of any kind, fully exposed to everything the Chinese army had. The Marines couldn't spare a single man to make that run. Every rifle was needed on the line. Every body accounted for. Someone had to carry the ammunition up anyway. Every life on that ridge depended on it. Relentless made 51 trips up and down that mountainside in a single day. To be clear, each trip she had to carry 4 to 8 of those 24-pound shells, sometimes over 200 pounds total up that 45-degree vertical. Each trip alone, no support, no backup, nothing, completely exposed, because the Marines couldn't spare a single man to walk with her. She was unloaded at the top, received a slap on the rump, and walked back down, by herself, back through the rain of fire, back for once more to do it all over again. Let that sink in for a second. 51 trips in one day, under the heaviest artillery fire the Marines had experienced so far, all by herself up a mountain to save her herd. By the end of it all, she had carried 386 rounds in total, nearly 5 tons of ammunition, 35 miles of trail. She shouldn't have lasted 1 mile, but she did. She took 2 wounds along the way, shrapnel above eye, more shrapnel in her left flank. Marines cared for her and dressed the wounds in the field. She kept going. Oh, and if that wasn't enough, on the way back down from her runs, she carried her wounded friends, saving some of their lives too. In the heat of the battle, Sergeant Harold Wadley watched her emerge, weary through the smoke, on one of her later runs. He would say afterward, hurting, determined, and alone. That's the image I have imprinted in my head and heart forever. Now, here is the part that stops researchers cold. Science can explain the training. It can explain the desensitization, the herd bonding, the raised fear threshold that comes with deep social attachment. Researchers have documented all of it. What it cannot fully explain is the decision-making. After unloading at the top of that hill, Relentless chose to go back down, again and again, of her own will. She turned around and walked back into the fire, 51 times in one day, because she understood what was needed. Equine cognition researchers have established that horses possess working memory, can solve multi-step problems, and demonstrate what behaviorists call goal-directed behavior, intentional action toward a recognized outcome. Relentless understood that down meant more ammunition, that up meant the men who needed it. She made that calculation 51 times, and then, on one of those runs, as 4 Marines scrambled for cover, she even positioned her own body between them and the incoming fire. A 900-pound shield. There is no training protocol for that. No command that produces that. That is something else entirely. Protecting the ones you love. Well, maybe that's as simple as it should be. The guns went quiet on July 27, 1953. Relentless was still there. According to witnesses, the morning after the armistice was signed, she was seen wandering through camp in a state best described as thoroughly celebratory, probably picking up on the fact that the men were enthusiastic that the war was over. She was exuberant, frolicking. No one reprimanded her, no one ever would from this day forth, because she had earned it. In 1953, in what was the first event of its kind, Relentless earned a battlefield promotion to corporal. Better yet, in 1954, after the 1st Marine Division commander reviewed her full service record, she was formally promoted to sergeant. To this day, she stands as the only animal in United States Marine Corps history to hold that official rank. And from that day forward, Marines saluted her. And anyone who disrespected her rank faced court-martial, and the standing order was clear. No one was ever permitted to ride her again. She arrived quietly in the United States in 1954 to no fanfare, no crowds, no noise. Her life became, well, kind of human for a while. She lived at Camp Pendleton in California. She attended formal dinners. She was the guest of honor at the Marine Corps birthday ball in San Francisco, where, of course, she was fed cake. And in 1959, in a formal ceremony, Commandant General Randolph Pate promoted her one final time to Staff Sergeant. As she began to settle into some form of normalcy, she had 4 foals, and she lived a full, comfortable, deeply loved life. In her later years, arthritis settled into her back, right along the areas that carried the weight of the artillery shells, and on May 13, 1968, she had fallen into a barbed wire fence and was injured. She was rushed to the vet with a sense of urgency, and while her wounds were being treated, Her body finally gave in. She left us peacefully that day at the ripe old age of 20. Hoorah, Marine, hoorah! In honor of her bravery, sacrifice and dedication, today, Staff Sergeant Reckless stands in bronze at the National Museum of the Marine Corps in Triangle, Virginia. A second statue stands at Camp Pendleton, and a third was unveiled at Kentucky Horse Park in Lexington, 1,000 pounds of bronze dedicated by the Marines who loved her. There is a plaque and a photograph commemorating her at the Camp Pendleton stables where she lived. In 1989, Aqueduct Racetrack in New York named its opening race of the season the Sergeant Reckless in her honor. And in 1997, Life magazine placed her among 100 all-time American heroes, a racehorse from Seoul, saving Americans and standing among them, more importantly, standing with them. Her decorations include 2 Purple Hearts, the Good Conduct Medal, the Presidential Unit Citation with Bronze Star, the National Defense Service Medal, the Korean Service Medal, the United Nations Korea Medal, the Navy Unit Commendation, and the Republic of Korea Presidential Unit Citation. Alongside these was the French Fourragère, an honor earned by the 5th Marines in World War I, decades before she was born. And recognition continued long after she was gone. The Animals in War and Peace Medal of Bravery honored her legacy. And in 2016, nearly 50 years after her death, she received the Dickin Medal, the animal equivalent of the Victoria Cross, the highest honor Great Britain gives for gallantry in war. She is the only animal ever to hold all of them. The behaviorists would say Reckless was responding to trained stimuli. The Marines who watched her climb that hill 51 times, wounded, carrying 5 tons of ammunition through a mountain that was on fire, they would say she knew exactly what she was doing, and she did it anyway. Maybe both things are true. Staff Sergeant Reckless. Born morning flame on a Korean hillside, named for the soft light of dawn. Sold for $250 to save a girl who lost her leg to a landmine. She ran toward the loudest, most terrifying place on earth. 51 times. She chose every one of them. Uncommon valor was her common virtue. She was a horse. She was a survivor. She was a Marine. Semper Fi.